Before we start this episode, I wanted to tell you that if you're looking for free dog training courses, you can take the Victoria Stilwell Academy's most popular free course, Building Your Dog's Confidence, right now by going to vsdogtrainingacademy.com. That's vsdogtrainingacademy.com. Okay, now on with the podcast. Today on the podcast, I have my wonderful friend and colleague, Carolyn Menteith. You've heard her before. She is amazing. She is an accredited dog trainer and behaviorist. She specializes in companion dogs, puppies, rescue dogs. She's a member of leading professional organizations. Interdog, she is an accredited animal trainer. She is the co-chair of Interdogs and won the inaugural Kennel Club Accredited Instructor of the Year Award in 2015. Was the official trainer and behaviorist on Crufts 2018, Channel 4 and More 4 TV programs. But she also does broadcasting on radio, visual media. She does seminars and workshops, and also I say she's the director, but she's everything to do with the UK Dog Behaviour and Training Charter. She is just a powerhouse, and I'm getting her back because we have a lot of updates to talk about regarding what is happening in the UK, especially with shock collars. And most importantly as well, the UK Dog Behaviour and Training Charter. So welcome to the podcast, Carolyn.
It's a real pleasure to be back. It's always great to talk to you and about the things that I'm so passionate about. The Charter being a huge one at the moment, because we've kind of like floated along and everyone's kind of thought, what's going on, what's happening. And then suddenly it's all started to get momentum as people start to know who we are and what we're doing and what our ethos is. So it's a really, really exciting time for the Charter. So I'm really glad to be back to talk about it.
Yes. All right. So for those of you who don't know, the UK Dog Behaviour and Training Charter, VSPDT and VSA are founding members of this charter. Tell us the history, Carolyn, and how incredible this charter is and how incredible it was to get so many organizations that normally are relatively competitive with each other in the same room, talking with each other and creating this amazing resource of the charter.
It is one of those things, isn't it, that while we are all reward-based positive training and behavior organizations, historically, we just haven't played nicely together. I mean, it's that really rather sadly true saying that if you get 3 behaviorists and trainers in one room, the only thing 2 of them will ever agree on is that the third one's definitely doing it wrong. And that's kind of the history that the Charter Group started off with. And it was Andy Hale, who I know you've talked to and who's been on your podcast, who had the idea of getting the reward-based, the positive training organizations who shared that ethos, shared that line in the sand of how we work with the animals that share our lives, who said, why aren't we all working together? And he had a conversation with me about it. And I said, well, we've tried and we really don't play nicely together. When you get us all in the one room, we're kind of sniffing bottoms and peeing at the furniture, and we certainly don't really talk to each other very much.
That's so true.
It really is, isn't it? If you go back, I don't know, 10 years or so, if you went to any of the conferences, it would be like a really, really bad school disco where there would be like one organization in one corner and one in the other corner, and they'd be muttering at each other, and it would be all like, oh, and that is kind of how we were. But Andy said, no, look, let's give it a go. And I mean, you've just gone through some of my history, and I've kind of been around for a little while. And I said to him, look, we've tried before. It doesn't work. It starts fantastic, and then it all kinds of falls apart because there's different agendas and egos. But he persisted, and we ended up having a meeting in a motorway service station in the back of some kind of strange, rather dubious restaurant with a sticky floor, where we all sidled in and tried to pretend that If there was anyone there that knew us, we weren't there really because we couldn't be seen meeting with the other side. And then we kind of talked and thought, actually, we agree on 98% of what we're doing. And the 98% we agree on is all the important things. It's how we work. Our line in the sand has always been that we will not use methodology or equipment that cause fear or pain. And that's our line in the sand. And we all agreed with that. We all thought that we needed an ethical profession where the public could trust the trainer or the behaviorist that they wanted to work with their dog to observe that line in the sand, but also to give them an ethical, professional, accountable profession. So we all agreed with that. And so we thought, well, why aren't we working together? And I think that was probably 5 years ago. And that's how the charter was born. And it was all very kind of idealistic and let's see if we can do it because it's never been done before. So that was how the charter started. And that's what the charter started off as. It started off as an organization of trainers and behaviorists where both professions were equal. There was nothing about status because both professions are equally important to dogs, to their guardians, to the people who share their lives with dogs. Both professions are equally important at different times. So there wasn't a hierarchy. There was no kind of, behaviorists are better or trainers are better. So there was this equality between organizations. And what we also wanted was for each organization to have an equal voice, for it not to be run by one organization who pushes their agenda and everybody else signs up to it, which is where it's all kind of gone wrong in the past. So when I took over from Andy, my big thing was I wanted to put the charter onto that kind of footing. So we have built it into a company. So the charter is the UK Dog Behaviour and Training Charter is a limited company in the UK. It's a not-for-profit limited company in the UK, but every single one of those founder members is an equal director, has an equal stake in the charter, has an equal say in the charter, and so has an equal drive to make it successful and to not push their own agenda, but to work for the good of the charter. Did I think it would work? I thought the jury was out on it 5 years ago, but now we're working together, we're sharing the same ethos. We've gone from being, I think we started off with 5 organisations in that slightly dubious motorway service station bar, and there's now 19 organisations who come under the charter banner. And some of those are training and behaviour organisations, but others are companies and organisations who support training and behaviour in some way. So maybe with services, maybe with products. And they've gone, you know what, we believe in this as well, because that's our lines in the sand and we want to be part of that. So while we've got 9 training and behaviour organisations under the charter banner, we've got another 10 companies who are putting their professional ethos, their profession on the line to say, yeah, we want to be part of this because this is what we believe in as well. So that's where the charter has got to, I think probably 6 years down the line from that meeting. And we're going from strength to strength. We really are going from strength to strength.
We have charter members, the founding charter members. I'd like to give them a call out. Animal-centered education. Mm-hmm. We have APDT UK, so it's the Association of Pet Dog Trainers UK, CABT, ICB, the International Canine Behaviorists, IMDT, which is the Institute of Modern Dog Trainers, the Association of Interdogs, Ethics in Action, National Institute for Canine Ethics, the Pet Professional Guild, VSPDT, which is the Victoria Stewart Positive Dog Training, and the Victoria Stewart Academy. So those are the founding members. But as you said, we've got supporting members too. Can you talk a little bit about them?
Yeah, I can do. So we've got 10 of those now, and there are a variety of companies. So there are companies who support the training and behaviour professions in some way. I'll talk a bit after I've given them a shout out, because they're all great and they're all very, very different. So let me just tell you who they are, and this is in no particular order. So, and some of them you'll have heard of, some of them you won't yet. So we have got Pet Remedy, the Muzzle Movement,
who we love, by the way.
Yes,
We love, by
do.
the way. I
We
just
love
need
them.
to say, shout out to Pet Remedy. Yeah.
Yeah, they were one of the first ones to come on board, because they've got they're working with Andy Hale as well. So they were one of the first ones to come on board. I think they were the first one to come on board, in fact. We've also got the Muzzle Movement, who are fantastic. They provide muzzles for all shapes, all sizes, all breeds. Basket muzzles, but in great funky colours as well. So you're not stuck with the horrible wires or the plastic, or so they're bringing muzzles into they're making muzzles fashionable again.
Which is important, I should say, for those people who are like, well, why should we be muzzling dogs? Well, first of all, in the UK, we have a law. Unfortunately, we have breed-specific legislation where many dogs of bull type or the XL bullies need to be muzzled in public. That it just is a nationwide ban that we had, and that is a requirement. But also, we as trainers and behaviorists, well, certainly myself, and I know that others like me, we like to teach every single puppy, dog, the ability and the skill of wearing a muzzle. And this is advocating for dogs in many different situations. So I absolutely support the muzzle movement.
Absolutely. And we never quite know what legislation is going to hold for dogs down the line. We don't know what countries they might go to that have different legislation. And sometimes, I mean, I used to have a Polish lowland sheepdog who was the absolute best at stealing from people's picnics. And he was amazing at it. He had the most beautiful recall. He was utterly extraordinary, and he was so, so, so cute. But he could take a sandwich in a heartbeat. And so there were times, depending where I was going, when I would just put a muzzle on him, because it was cheaper than rebuying people pizza and ice creams and all the various things that he'd stolen. But quite often, there's all kinds of reasons for using muzzles, whether it's for scavenging or stealing pizzas from people. So the muzzle movement are absolutely great. We've got Yapoli, who have come on, who are a directory of all kinds of different ethical businesses. So they've kind of signed up to us. Zigzag, and I think you've talked to Lorna about Zigzag, which is an absolutely fabulous puppy training app. And so they were another one who came on to onto the charter really, really, really early on, because Lorna also is one of the founder member organisations and is a director. So that was a really, really good fit for us. We have got the International School of Canine Psychology, who are educators in positive reward-based behaviour modification. We've got Canine Connectables, who are just a great company, who do all kinds of puzzle enrichment toys and games, which are really, really great for behaviour and for training work. We've also got Biome 9, who I'm really, really excited by. This is very, very, very new science, and they're great people to talk to. And they look at microbiomes and how that gut health affects behavior and how it can impact quite heavily on behavior. So they're really exciting, and they've just done a webinar for us, which will be free for all charter members. So these are all people who have looked at what we've done, what the charter's done, and wanted to be a part of that, because they have to say that they support training and behavior, but they also have to say that they don't work with people who use aversive equipment and methodology. So that's our supporting organisations. We've still got 2 more who are about to come on board, but these are quite new, and this is now starting to snowball, which is great. It's great for them, and it's really, really good for us, because we have people that we can recommend and that will also help us shout about the charter, because we are a not-for-profit. We never set up the charter to make money, and we certainly aren't. The treasurer keeps shouting at me, David, our quite often, quite often grumpy treasurer keeps saying you should be charging organizations much more money because you're really, really valuable and your service is really valuable. But that's not what it's about. We're not about making money. We're about making life better for the nation's dogs and their guardians. And that's what our USP is all about. And so that's what we will continue to do. So the more that other companies can shout about us and we can share the message, the better, and the more the charter name gets out there.
We have a code of ethics and then, accepted methodologies. And the first one and I'm going to read it from the charter: signatory organizations must use non-punitive, science-led, positive methodology, which are not designed to deliberately cause pain, fear, intimidation, or that could cause psychological damage to the dog. This is underpinned by the Animal Welfare Act of 2006, with special reference to Section 4, unnecessary suffering, and recognizes the prohibited tools in Section D of this charter. The charter also recognizes any additional directives given from the devolved powers in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So signatory organizations, as we do, should ensure as part of their accreditation procedures that all practitioners understand the need for the physical, mental, and emotional needs of the dog to be central to all training plans. It is still shocking to me that we need to have a charter and we need to come together because there's so much disinformation out there and there are so many people that think it's okay to train dogs, to teach dogs using methods, techniques, and devices that do cause pain, psychological damage, physical damage. But there are. And so that's why this is so needed. And we're very strict about it.
Yeah, we really, really are incredibly strict about it. And it's one of the reasons I think a lot of people don't quite understand how charter membership works, because the members.
I was just going to ask you that. Yes.
Yeah. It's one of the questions that we get is, how can I be part of the charter? The charter members are membership organizations. So like you, like APDT, like all of our 9 organizations. And these are membership organizations who accredit professionals and who are accountable for them and whose code of conduct and complaints procedures apply to them. So it's organizations that are members and not individuals. Because one of the things we really, really wanted was accountability for professionals. There's some fantastic trainers and behaviorists out there working completely independently. But then there's also ones out there who are using shock collars, prong collars, intimidation, fear, pain to train dogs, either because that's what they've always done, in inverted commas, or because they don't know better, or because they are not trained and there is no accountability. So what the charter does, first of all, is we're saying that if somebody is an accredited member of a charter organization, then they are represented by the charter. So individuals don't sign up to the charter, but if you're an individual and you want to be covered by that charter banner, go and join and be accredited by one of our 9 member organizations. That means that they're going to be responsible for your codes of practice, to make sure you're doing your CPD, to make sure you're insured. And if there are any complaints, there is a transparent complaints procedure that people can then go down. And that accountability is what gives trust to guardians to be able to employ charter professionals. If you're a member, go on, Carolyn.
No, I was just saying, I think it's really important that people understand that it's the organizations that are members of the charter, and we are the ones that oversee our members. So in order, if you like, well, I want to be able to put the charter symbol on my website, well, you have to be a member of one of the membership organizations. So you have to be a VSPDT, for example, or you have to be a Victoria Stilwell Academy graduate, a VSA dog training graduate. So that's just to be clear, because yes, we do have a lot of people that are like, I just want to sign up. No, you can't. You have to be a member of one of these organizations.
Yeah, and that's where that first level of making sure that you have the skills and that you have the knowledge. We've talked about this before. There's lots of talk of Lima is one of the ones that's talked about a lot as a way of working with dogs. Lima standing for least intrusive, minimally aversive. And that's been one of those things that's been floating around for a while. Oh, I work under the Lima principles. Least invasive, minimally aversive. First of all, we're talking about using aversives, but only just minimally. And it's going to be intrusive.
What is minimally?
Least intrusive. And all of that comes down to what your knowledge and your skill levels are. It's back to if all you've got to hammer, everything looks like a nail. If you're not particularly skilled, what you think is least intrusive, minimally aversive is going to be very, very different to someone who's working within one of our organizations who are science-led, who are educated, who have trained, who have spent time learning about dogs, about their emotions, about the relationships we have with them, who would say that being intrusive and aversive at all is a red line in the sand. And so that's one of the reasons why anybody who wants to be covered by that charter banner has to be a member of one of the charter organizations, accredited by them and accountable to them. And just to make sure we are completely accountable, the charter also has an oversight committee. And the oversight committee is 6 professionals who have no links to any of the organizations, who are not working within training and behavior, although they do have animal experience. So as an example, one of them is a barrister, and she does animal welfare and breed-specific legislation work. She's not a trainer, she's not a behaviorist, but she works in that sphere. And we've got educators, we've got all kinds of different people who will then, if there's a complaint, and the organisation, the person that makes the complaint feels the organisation hasn't dealt with it right, or they want to appeal it, then that can go to our oversight committee, who will sit completely independently, look at any breaches of ethics, of complaints procedures, and be able to rule on that. So we wanted to be completely accountable. And that's actually started to pay off for us, because we have now, one of the things that people have been saying for a long time, especially our behavior professionals, is we need insurance companies to be able to cover behavior consults of our members. And that hasn't happened for a while. I've been working on that for quite some time. And we finally now got our first large insurance company who has said, we love what you do. We love that you use positive methodology, that you do not use aversive equipment. So we want to be a part of that. And it's because of your oversight that we have got the trust that we think that we can do that. And so that's really exciting for us. So this is an insurance company who said, we want to cover your members professionally. So we want to give them advantages and discounts for their professional insurance, but we also want to cover your accredited behaviorists consultations for owners. And so that's a huge one for us, because now we've got that recognition, we can start to roll that out to other insurance companies. But that's because of the way that we run, the way that we've set up the charter, and this accountability, as well as our methodology, which is why I get really, really excited about it, because everybody's starting to... It takes a long time for people to get to know you and to trust you and to know you're going to be around, and to just, it takes a while. And now 6 years down the line, people are saying, you're still here, you're making it work, you're still holding true to that ethos, you have that accountability, you have that methodology. And so that's really, really starting to pay dividends to us. Hence why next week
I'm going to ask you this. Hold on, because I'm going to read our professional standards, and then I will segue into why. The UK Dog Behaviour and Training Charter aims to make a clear statement regarding the future direction of the dog behaviour and training industry in relation to professional standards, tools, and methodologies. The welfare of the dogs lies at the heart of its mandate, making clear representation as to what is and isn't acceptable in a modern progressive profession. Now, this leads to the fact that we're not just there as in, hey, we've got a great website. Take a look at our website, dogcharter.uk. Hey,
I will interrupt and say we do have a really fantastic website because we've just.
Oh yeah, no, we do. I'm not saying we don't just have that, because we do have a great website,
and I'm so happy with that.
It is a beautiful website. I love the logo. It's a beautiful website, so you need to go. But this is very exciting because the charter is not just obviously improving the standards by giving out great information, by giving people in the UK access to great organizations where we know that trainers follow a code of ethics. And so if you need a trainer, you go to dogcharter.uk and, you can hopefully find a trainer in your area. But we're affecting change on a very high level. So after the break, Carolyn, you gotta tell us about this because this is really exciting. We will be right back. Have you been trying to find the right time to level up your professional dog trainer skills, knowledge, and certification? We built the Victoria Stilwell Academy's professional dog trainer course for people like you, and we've purposely designed it so that you can start whenever is most convenient for you. Or are you looking for how to begin as a professional dog trainer and don't know where to start? The Dog Trainer course guides you through the learning process from A to Z, delivering a powerful yet flexible experience, resulting in VSA's prestigious Certified Dog Trainer certification. Or maybe you're already a trainer, but feel there are a few holes in your skills and knowledge. VSA's flagship course contains all of the knowledge and skill-based assessments via your own dedicated faculty advisor to mentor you through the course and help build your confidence to be an elite dog training professional. Or perhaps you already run a pet business as a dog walker, a sitter, daycare, groomer, or your veterinary staff, and you want to be able to provide the clients who already trust you with certified training and behavior services as well. No matter where you are on your journey, the Victoria Stilwell Academy's Dog Trainer course is here to help you chase your dreams as a professional dog trainer. Our friendly, accessible team is available today to talk with you and help you determine whether VSA is the right fit for you. Or you can enroll in a completely free starter course right now to test drive the VSA Student Learning Center for yourself. And as a special holiday bonus, if you apply for registration using promo code HOLIDAY, we'll give you the largest special bonus package of add-ons of the year worth more than $1,000 or £800. With promo code HOLIDAY, you'll get a Positively gift card worth up to $250, a free registration to the upcoming Dog Behavior Conference, a free year of Positively TV, a personalized signed book, and a free private one-on-one coaching session with me. Just visit vsdta.com to get in touch, enroll in a free course, or apply now. That's vsdta.com. Again, go to vsdta.com to learn more now. I can't wait to see you in class. Okay, here it is. The charter is right there. It's in Parliament. Why? Tell us, Carolyn, what is happening? Because we know, and for years it's been, are shock collars going to be banned? Are they not? What is happening? And the government has been all over the place. And now we had a huge government change. What is going on, Carolyn? And what is the charter doing? This to me is one of the most exciting things.
I'm really excited about this one because this is something I have been fighting for. I worked it out. I've been 18 years. I have been fighting on trying to get a full ban on electric shock collars. And it's amazing to me that shock collars are even still legal. I mean, how on earth can we be in a situation where it is legal to put an electric shock collar around a dog's neck in the name of training or behavior modification? but they are. They're not in Wales. Wales banned electric shock collars quite some time ago. I think it's probably about 10 years ago now. And in Wales, if you put an electric shock collar on a dog, you are breaking the law. They've been really, really progressive on this, despite there being lots of appeals. Scotland's got a bit woolly, and it's kind of said, well, maybe if you put a shock collar on a dog, it might not be a great thing. But that's really, really woolly. But Westminster and a robust ban on shock collars has to come from Westminster, because while we do have devolved parliaments, there is limited powers within those. So we need a ban to come from Westminster. And for 18 years, I've been trying to get a ban in Westminster. And various governments have said, yeah, we think we probably should ban them because they're not really that great. And there's been a DEFRA report that said, really, we shouldn't be using them. And last year, we really thought we'd got it. We really thought we'd got it, because government said, yes, we are finally going to ban shock collars. Here is the statutory instrument that means we can start putting into place the change in the law. It needs to be tick boxed through the House of Commons. It needs to be tick boxed through the House of Lords. We've already discussed it there, so that's no problem at all. And it will become law in February this year. Gone. Then the government, for some reason, decided to cancel the Commons debate, which was never rescheduled. The Lords said, yes, we want to ban, but then the government kind of ran out time on it. And so once again, we're kind of in limbo until next week. Next week, we have a drop-in session for MPs in Westminster. And there's been a few of these, and they're nearly always hosted by the big welfare organisations. So the Kennel Club has a big legislative body who is very, very active. So they tend to be really good at driving it, as does the RSPCA, Dogs Trust, Battersea Dogs and Cats Homes, Blue Cross. They've been really, really good at kind of pushing MPs. But for the first time this year, because we now have been around for a while and it's respected for what we do, the Charter is now involved as hosts for the drop-in for MPs. So I will be there for the Charter group, and I will get the joy of demonstrating to our new government, to the MPs who drop in, what an electric shock collar feels like. Because most of them assume that if this is something that you put round a dog's neck, it's going to be a little bit of a tingle or whatever. And so the first thing they're shocked by is when they see them. Because first of all, they think, well, they're actually really quite big, aren't they? And you go, yeah, they really are. And then we give them a chance to feel them. And almost uniformly, all the MPs I've shocked over 18 years, and there's been quite a few of them, will say, I wouldn't put them on a dog, but MPs are fair game, because these are the people who can influence change, not because of any other reason. Nearly always will leave and be completely, if you pardon the pun, shocked by just how painful these are. And that's someone who knows they're coming and knows why it's coming. So, but what I'm really excited about is, I say, I've been doing this for 18 years, but the fact that the Charter is now being seen as an organisation who is pushing that change, who is standing up for dogs, for their guardians, and for our profession and what we want to see in our profession in the future. So if you read the invite to the MP drop-in, it does say the Kennel Club, RSPCA, Blue Cross, Dogs Trust, and the UK Dog Training and Behaviour Charter are inviting MPs to a drop-in to talk about electric shock collars and their implications for animal welfare. So that's one of the things that I'm really excited about, is that the Charter is now part of, we're in Parliament, we're in Westminster, we are working alongside the big names in welfare and in changing legislation for dogs in the future, because this will have to come from legislation. and we're up there.
I've done a number of drop-ins for various causes in Parliament, and it's really, really important. And I mean, I should just qualify that you're not just going up to MPs and putting a shock collar around their neck and saying, "Hey, here, feel this." When you do a drop-in, you set up. They give you a room in Parliament, and I don't know whether you are actually at Westminster or you're at Portcullis House on the other side, but sometimes we've been in both. But in Portcullis House, you have a room and you set all of your stuff up in that room about what you're advocating for or against. And then MPs drop in. So they drop in to find out more information, and there's various organizations there that they can speak to representatives of those organizations to find out of like what is this all about. And during that time, if an MP wants to feel what it's like to have a shock collar or to be shocked by a shock collar, how is it done? Because I've done it a lot with my students, because I think it's really important that students also understand what it's like. And we always do it. We never do it on the neck. We always do it to sort of the fleshy part of the palm of your hand. That is, unless somebody says, well, takes the shock collar and says, I want to feel what it's like around my neck. We do not advise it. And so if you are listening to this and you're like, well, I want to feel what it feels like, we always say, do it on the fleshy part of the palm of your hand. Be really careful. Do it under supervision with somebody who knows what they're doing. This is what I assume will be happening with this drop-in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a completely new government. We've not long had a general election. This is the first kind of term of Parliament, and so this will be new MPs. And at the moment, MPs are still finding out about the things that they have an interest in. And so we've got MPs who have already signed up, who have an animal welfare background or an animal welfare interest, but others will drop in as well. As you say, if they're passing, they'll tend to drop in, because if it's something they're at all interested in, so they can talk to, there'll be representatives of all the host organisations that they can talk to and find out what the implications are for welfare. They can look at the collars, they can pick them up, they can handle them, they can see what they look like. And if they are willing and happy and they positively want to see what they feel like, we will let them feel them. As I said, we do it kind of there on the fleshy bit of the bottom of the thumb, because that's not particularly sensitive, because people don't expect it to be as painful and as affecting. If you've ever been shocked by an electric shock collar, if you've ever actually just grabbed hold of an electric fence, it's a very odd kind of pain, because it kind of goes to the core of you. It doesn't feel quite surface. It's an odd kind of pain. And so we're really careful where we do it and the levels that we do it at as well, because, as I say, nearly everybody is quite surprised by just how painful they are. And unlike a dog, they know it's coming, they know what it is, they know why it's happening, and they know when it's going to happen. So we are very cautious and we are careful with regards to health and safety. So yeah, I'm not just going to wander around the halls of Westminster randomly electrocuting people that I find in the hallways.
Could you imagine that? Oh my goodness. No.
No.
Whether you might like to or not. I could use it here. I could use it
yes.
with our political situation right now, but
I think you could have benefited from an electric shock collar over the last few weeks.
We should have used it a long time ago. So talk about aversive.
But I mean, I think while I can laugh about it, and I mean, I will enjoy being there in that I really love educating people to just the issues surrounding electric shock collars, because there's hardly an MP that leaves that room who might have thought, because you get everybody saying, well, it'll save sheep, it'll protect from sheep, sheep being killed by dogs, or it's a last resort to stop dogs being euthanized. And it doesn't. In either of those cases, it's not effective. The majority of sheep chasers are dogs who have escaped or have got away from owners or out of houses or out of gardens who wouldn't have a collar or an owner with them anyway. And so this is a completely straw man argument. And it doesn't stop dogs being euthanized. In fact, all it does is kick the can down the road a little bit, because it suppresses the behavior until one day that behavior will explode out of that dog, and nearly always in a dramatically and tragic way. So that they're real straw man arguments, but there's hardly anybody, any MPs that have gone out of the drop-ins that I've attended who have gone out thinking this is something that we should be doing to dogs. And it's why nearly after every one of these sessions, we end up with government saying these should be banned. And then for some reason or other, and it's nearly always money, things get derailed a little bit, or it goes back to, well, let's just have another study. Let's just have another look. We've done all the studies. The evidence is out there. We know that shocking dogs in the name of education is as appropriate as caning children in schools, and we used to do that, but we now know that that's not the way to educate, that's not the way to teach, that's not the way to change behaviour, that's not the way to influence behaviour for the better, and it's certainly not any way to build a relationship with the animals that share your life. So I love the fact that I get a chance to do this, and to do it under the Charter banner. I can't tell you how proud I am to do that.
And I can't tell you how thankful we are to have you as our leader, really, and for somebody to be as knowledgeable and as passionate as you. And I do think there has been a very controversial study here in the United States done at the University of Arizona with Clive Wynne et al., and was being lauded by some well-known shock collar advocates who were actually part of the study, which was the reason why the study was not a great one. But it was lauded as a success because the dogs that were wearing shock collars were the ones that stopped chasing. And when the shock was deployed, the dog would turn around and stop chasing the thing it really wanted to chase, whereas the food reward dogs didn't. But unfortunately, the food reward training that the dogs got was so dreadful and ill-conceived and so rudimentary, and actually, to be quite honest, so completely disgraceful. It was, as you say, the pun, shocking that a well-known university and people who are well-known in the profession, these scientists, should have known better, but obviously do not have a clue about positive training and what it takes to help dogs stop chasing things, right?
Yeah, I mean,
but there was one line in there. There was one line in that which really proved our point, that every single dog that had a shock collar, when that shock was deployed, employed, depressed, every one of those dogs yelped. And here's the quote, presumably in pain. There you go. You thought that this study was going to show that actually shock collars are really good to use on dogs that chase. But actually, when you see how bad the study was, but also you see that one line, every dog that had that shock collar yelped, presumably in pain. That was it. There you go. There's your evidence. I mean, we know it. We don't need yet another flawed study to tell us. Would you please stop doing them now? We don't need any more information.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it just was yet another nail in that coffin.
And one of the other things that drives me crazy is, one of the things with the Charter is we are really, really picky about the organisations that we let join us. Because as you said, when you were reading out what these organisations need to do, they need to be science-led. And the problem is, if you listen to balance trainers or the aversive trainers or whatever they're calling themselves, they will keep saying you can't stop predation, sheep chasing, whatever, just by throwing cookies on the floor or just by throwing bits of cheese. That is not what we do. That's
We do. Oh, God.
That's the whole problem. You can't just say positive training doesn't work because just throwing bits of cheese at a dog isn't going to stop them doing anything. All that does is prove that you don't understand what positive training is. You don't understand how it works. We don't just, I mean, the number of times it's like, oh, well, you can't just ignore a dog when they're doing something wrong and you can't just throw cheese at them and expect behavior to improve. That is not what we do. We have spent years. There's an awful lot of research and a lot of science out there that informs what we do. We really don't throw cheese at a dog. And quite honestly, I couldn't stop a dog chasing anything by just throwing cheese because the squirrels are always going to be more exciting. Yeah,
absolutely.
there's a lot more to it. So it's one of the reasons the charter organizations have to be science-led and they have to be trained and they have to study because they have to know how to use those tools, how to use reward, when to use reward, how to set up situations where the dog succeeds. So you're using positive reinforcement to make those behaviors happen more often. And the problem with punishment, and I could rant about this for ages, is you are not telling the dog what you want them to do in that situation. You're just telling them one of probably 1,000 things that you don't want them to do in that situation. You're not educating. There's a reason why we don't cane children in schools anymore. It's because you don't learn when you are scared, anxious, frightened, in pain, worried, terrified. Fill in the gaps. You can't learn. You just hunker down and do nothing.
You do. You shut down because that's your survival mechanism. That's the only way that, you're going to survive. So, and as somebody who was definitely hit in school, I had the ruler on my hand a lot. I know what that's like. I didn't learn anything. I was corrected. I was told off. I got the ruler and I didn't want to go back to school. I hated it. And this was nursery school, by the way. I got the ruler at nursery school, not my main school, but before I was 5 years old. Are you kidding me? I've never forgotten it. Yeah. And I despise those teachers. I know what they look like, their names. I despise them to this day. Some of them are dead, thank God. Sorry to say that, but I'm not, because they were brutal. And when you're hitting a child before they're 5, but even after they're 5, when we remember that stuff. And did it teach us? No, it didn't. It just made us shut down. It made us feel awful. And it caused anxiety. Terrible thing to do. And yet we're doing this to dogs because, hey, we've got to stop them from doing this and correct their behavior. And the blame is always put on the dog. It is such a messed up way of gaining some kind of relationship of power over these animals. If you don't have the education and the knowledge that you can teach all kinds of dogs with all different kinds of issues in a positive way, if you don't want to go down that road and learn it, well, I'm sorry for you and I'm sorry for the dogs that you interact with.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we get dogs to make our lives better. We get dogs because we want that canine best friend that we've always heard about. Is that a way to build a relationship? I mean, what relationship did you have with those teachers? Most of them, you're glad that the ones are dead. And so why are we doing this? Why are we doing this to dogs? Some kind of power trip? Don't start me on that.
If you did this to a child now, if you put a shock collar on a child now, you would be in jail. Yes. You would be in jail, and good. But yes, because dogs don't speak in our tongue. They can't say how they feel. Yes, they say it in body language, but who cares about that? If they were able to say just for a little bit, stop using that hurts me. That's painful, that hurts me. And that people who really cared about it would be like, okay, I had no idea, but now I see what we're doing. Then this would be a very different conversation. There wouldn't be the need to have this drop in so that we can get these things banned in the UK once and for all.
Yes. And I so hope that governments, this new government, will just say, look, everything's in place. We can do this really quickly. We can have a really, really good success here. And I really hope that's what happens. And I hope that the next time I talk to you, we're going to be talking about when the ban's coming into place. I really, really hope so. It's been a huge, huge long fight. I'm so thrilled that the Charter is part of it, that we're recognised as being part of it, and that our lines in the sand are being recognised. But I still can't believe we're still having this conversation. I really can't.
Yeah. Carolyn, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time. And if people want to know more about the Charter, it's dogcharter.uk. If you are looking for a trainer, then we encourage you to go to the Charter as well. It has Find a Professional on there, and you can look at the various organizations, including VSPDT and VSA, there to find a trainer to help you and your dog. But also look for our wonderful symbol on people's websites, and you know that you are going to have a trainer, at least that follows the code of ethics that is set out in the Charter. Carolyn, thank you for being such a champion for dogs, not just dogs, but for people as well.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And so next time we talk, let's hope we've got the ban.
Absolutely. That is the end of our podcast. Thank you so much for listening. This is so important. And I'm telling you, even in America, things are changing. Petco, the largest pet store that has around 1,000 stores nationwide, has banned the sale of shock collars for training in their stores and online. This is hugely significant. And we really hope that England follows Wales, and after England does it, that we get a ban. Scotland will follow, then maybe Northern Ireland, and then maybe other countries around the world, so that these things can be gone for good. Thank you to Carolyn, and also thanks to everybody and all of those membership, those founding organizations, and the supporting members of the UK Dog Behavior and Training Charter. Take care, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and I'll see you again.
Thanks for tuning in to Victoria Stilwell's Positively podcast. For Victoria's online dog training courses, more information, and helpful dog training tips, visit Victoria's official website at positively.com. Get connected on Facebook, Instagram, and other social media as Victoria Stilwell, and follow her on Twitter at Victoria S. Learn to become a professional dog trainer with the Victoria Stilwell Academy at vsdogtrainingacademy.com. And be sure to tune in next time as Victoria helps you and your dog live your best life together, positively.